now that nothing came out about me, other than it was a conspiracy against me, literally, by Epstein and other people. But I think it's time now for the country to maybe get onto something else.
What would you say to people
like
who feel like they haven't gotten justice, Mr. President?
Something that people care about. What did you say? Go
what
ahead.
would you say to the survivors who feel like they haven't gotten
You are the
justice?
worst reporter. No wonder CNN has no ratings because of people like you. She's a young woman. I don't think I've ever seen you smile. I've known you for 10 years. I don't think I've ever seen a smile in your face.
You about survivors.
You know why? You know why you're not smiling? Because you know you're not telling the truth. And you're a very dishonest organization, and they should be ashamed of you. Okay, go ahead.
Nothing came out about me. Are you kidding me? Trump's name is mentioned in more than 5,300 files with more than 38,000 references in the Epstein files. But sure, nothing came out about him in the latest tranche that was released last Friday. Hi, my name is Suri Crowe, and you're watching the MeidasTouch Network. I watched him berate Caitlin Collins, as he does so often when he's attacking female reporters who dare to question him, which is what journalists are supposed to do. And I have mad respect for her because she didn't back down. And by the way, don't ever, ever tell a woman to smile. You say that to me, you're going to get double middle fingers coming your way. That is so freaking misogynistic and just rude AF.
On the Epstein files, you talked about Democrats who were in there. Elon Musk was also in there, and so was your Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick and correspondence that he had with him. Did you read those new files that were published by the Department of Justice?
I didn't. I have a lot of things I'm doing, a lot of things I'm doing. I don't know. You mentioned two names. I'm sure they're fine. Otherwise, it would have been major headlines.
None of the other reporters came to Caitlin's aid, as they have failed to do on countless other occasions when Trump has gone after other female journalists. I mean, he's just straight up misogynistic and abusive. And I love the way he says, I've got a lot of other things I'm doing. Like what? Taking $500 million bribes from the UAE because you're selling top national security secrets, which is a huge story and should be getting a ton of coverage. He is selling America's national security for parts to enrich himself and his family. So he's doing nothing to look out for America. America first, my ass. And Caitlin Collins, by the way, is doing far more to hold Donald Trump accountable than the Democratic Party currently is. Outside of Ro Khanna, Thomas Massie, and, the House Oversight Committee, the Democratic leadership is epically failing the moment that we are in right now, which is a crisis. While millions of us around the world were poring over the unspeakable crimes and acts in the Epstein files this weekend that literally made me physically sick to my stomach. Chuck Schumer? Well, Chuck was shilling for Israel.
Fight for aid to Israel, all the aid that Israel needs. I will continue to fight for it. And we delivered more security assistance to Israel, our ally, under my leadership than ever before. We will keep doing that, everybody.
This behavior is wholly disqualifying, in my opinion. On the weekend that millions of Epstein files are released that include damning evidence of Israel's collusion with these pedo monsters. I mean, there's a whole line of collusion with the Israeli government, Jeffrey Epstein, Mossad. I mean, it is more horrific and complex than any Dan Brown novel could possibly be. The minority leader of the Senate, Chuck Schumer, is pimping himself for a genocidal Israeli regime. Are you fucking kidding me?
When he says he will fight for that funding for Israel, what was your reaction to seeing that clip from Schumer?
I couldn't believe it. I mean, here is a nation that has committed genocide in Gaza, and Chuck Schumer in the same years is bragging about providing them unconditional military aid. Look, the appropriations bill that's coming to the House today or tomorrow has two problems. It has tripled the ICE funding, which I pointed out, and now some of my colleagues are pointing out, but it also has a significant blank check of military aid to Israel. And when I raised that, one or two of my colleagues said, "Ro, why do you have to bring that into it?" I said, because both are deeply problematic. We should not be having military sales to a government that committed genocide, and we should not be having triple the funding for an ICE agency that is violating constitutional rights. You know, I've been thinking about it, Chris, and I believe that what we need in the Democratic Party in this country is a new moral vision. We need to have a simple way of understanding that you can't be for pedophiles, you can't be for ICE abuse, you can't be for funding genocide. And those are actually the bedrock foundational principles before you have your childcare or economic plan. Let's convince people that we actually have morality again in this country.
Yeah, there's a thought. Moral clarity, a moral vision. How about making that the foundation of the Democratic Party as we are going up against sociopathic monsters in the Republican Party who do not give a flying fuck about the American people? You know, more Ro Khanna and less pretty much everyone else in the Democratic caucus. And, you know, really not to sound conspiratorial, but we really need to start looking at Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries as paid opposition. They are both on the take from AIPAC for about $2 million apiece. And isn't it so funny that every time Democrats get to a vote lately, Chuck and Hakeem find a way to make sure that the Republicans just kind of squeak across the line. Oh, sorry. Gee, sorry. We were hoping we'd pull that win out. But they don't whip the votes. They put out strongly worded statements on social media, but they fail to get the Democratic Party across the line when it comes to healthcare, when it comes to DHS funding, when it comes to, or non-funding, I should say, when it comes to accountability for this regime, when it comes to anything that would advance human rights or what is good for the American people. We just stop short of the line when it comes to Congress, you know, and that is their literal job, to represent we the people, and they're failing. Americans do not want to fund a nation that is committing war crimes. And that is not Suri Crowe's opinion. That is the opinion of The Hague, of the International Criminal Court, where Benjamin Netanyahu, Ben-Gvir, and other members of the fascist Israeli regime are wanted for war crimes. Do you understand this? Here is a recent YouGov Economist poll that shows that only 4% of Democratic voters want to keep funding Israel. 66% of independents oppose sending more aid to Israel. People in America do not want to keep funding a genocidal Israeli regime. And yet Congress just can't stop sending billions of our taxpayer dollars over there when we can't afford rent, groceries, and we don't have health care. It is shameful. The Democratic Party as a whole is completely out of touch with voters. It is bought and paid for by largely the same donors who are paying off the fascist Republicans, perhaps to a less obvious degree, but we are at war. We are in a fight for democracy. We have an adjudicated rapist in the White House, and almost every person around Donald Trump is named in the Epstein files. Jeffrey Epstein, a sick and depraved man who committed unspeakable crimes against women and children, and you had to know it if you hung around him for any length of time. Donald Trump is mentioned more times in the Epstein files than Harry Potter was mentioned in the entire Harry Potter book series. So use your brain, use your logic. What does that tell you? That Donald Trump absolutely knew what was going on and was part of this whole snare. And, you know, when you get into reading it, you really see the collusion between the Israeli government, Mossad, Jeffrey Epstein, and what is going on is more diabolical and more complex than any Dan Brown novel I have ever read. So we need to cut ties with the Israeli government. Full stop. Full stop. I'll probably get in trouble for saying that, but it's the absolute truth. They are dangerous, and we should have nothing to do with the Israeli regime. And in the gaslighting from people who say you're being anti-Semitic, that is not anti-Semitic. It is not. That is saying that the government of Israel is fully criminal and corrupt, and that is just a fact. So, Trump is saying that there was enough evidence against Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell to put them in prison. But he's mentioned thousands of times in these files, and we should just ignore it. Oh, nothing came out about me. I'm absolved. Please, please, please lie some more. Why don't you, Donald Trump? Other countries, speaking of which, France, Turkey, the United Kingdom, Poland, Norway, Lithuania, to name a few, are taking action against people in their governments, launching full investigations against those in power who have been linked to Epstein, and they are doing it immediately after these files were released. Like, they saw these people mentioned in the files, and Peter Mendelsohn stepped down. There's calls for former Prince Andrew to be criminally investigated now. People are being looked at. Like, it's not even been a week and these governments are taking action. They are doing it right now. But Senator Chuck Schumer is more interested in sending billions of American tax dollars to a country that is committing war crimes. And Democrats in Congress are refusing to abolish terrorist death squads that are killing people, kidnapping children, and kidnapping Native Americans in Minneapolis. We need to clean house. Certainly not all the Democrats. There are some terrific ones in there. But the majority of Democrats in Congress are compromised. They really are. I gave them, like, once upon a time, I was more naive. But in the last couple of years, I've really paid attention to what they do, the way they vote, the way they behave. And it's not adding up. It's not adding up. Okay. I've just simply had a rage and a fury burning through my veins since I started reading the Epstein files last Friday. I mean, there was like a shock, a sickening, like I felt ill. I still do. And there's still so much more to go through. Just like, what the actual F. And I don't understand why every person in America with a conscience and why every person in Congress isn't as furious as I am. And I know that there are, like, like I said, I mean, Garcia, Massey, AOC, like others. And this is just, I guess I'm just, I don't know, kind of lost for words, because Trump is telling us that he is going to steal the midterms. He is going to use his private ICE army to do it, our taxpayers that are paying for these thugs. We do not have time to fuck around, people. Someone on social media yesterday said, oh, well, the next president in 2029 needs to realize that they're going to have to dismantle an authoritarian regime. Are you kidding me? We don't have 3 years. The time is now. The dismantling of the regime needs to be happening right now, right now, right now, right now. You know who Mark Elias is? When he starts ringing the alarm bells and saying, guys, it's kind of time to get really worried, listen to him. He's in court fighting this stuff all day long, every day. And he is saying, we're in some shit, people. We don't have time right now. You need to be calling your congressional members every day or getting active. Join Indivisible, get with groups, start getting behind progressive candidates so we can sweep out the trash in Congress. I'm like begging you guys. We cannot just go along like everything is normal. Start having difficult conversations with your family members and friends. I've been sending screenshots of the Epstein files to people that I would not normally do that to. I'm like, here's who you stand behind. Just so you know, this is what's going on. And, we can't wait because our democracy is going to be gone. If we do not get through these midterms, and Trump and the Republicans are doing everything they can to steal them, we're fucked, okay? And I'm not trying to be a panican, but like, hello? And anyone in Congress who refuses to abolish ICE, seriously consider who is paying them off, because these concentration camps that the government is trying to build across the nation right now, there's big dollars in that. And any member of Congress who's like, well, let's not be rash here. I don't think we need to abolish ICE. Oh, I wonder who is paying you, because they are probably being paid off by these government contractors who have them on the take. And I've been looking into it, and a lot of these donations aren't going to show up until the next year or so. And to see who is paying them to keep voting not to abolish ICE, when the people are like, we want you to abolish ICE. I mean, look everywhere. Everyone is saying, we don't want ICE anymore. It's a terrorist squad. We didn't have it before. We don't need it now. We can still, have ways to enforce the border and immigration, which is, by the way, not in Minneapolis. 300 miles away from the border. We don't need ICE. It is a completely corrupt organization. We can't reform that. We cannot. These people are monsters. So just pay attention there and continue to really bother and be a menace. Call your congressional members. My Senator Mark Warner has just started to post about the Epstein files because people like me are calling his office every day. Hey, hello, are you listening to us? So they do listen, but it might take 20 or 30 phone calls. And then just one last thing. Believe women. Believe women the first time. The misogyny of this nation is truly unconscionable. And it's just so troubling to know that, like, we take one man's word over thousands of women. Amplify women journalists. I am so tired of seeing Donald Trump attack female reporters who are often the only ones who are asking the hard questions in the Oval Office. I'm over it, and you should be too. All right, I'll see you guys back here soon. Seek the truth. Get involved. The time is now.
The truth is more important than ever. Check out our new Truth Over Lies collection at store.MeidasTouch.com. All 100% USA union made.